My brother bragged online, perfect Thanksgiving, no drama. He forgot one thing, the house was mine. I commented. The post vanished in minutes. The ultimate betrayal wasn't whispered behind my back, it was broadcast, loud and proud, on Facebook. A picture-perfect Thanksgiving, my entire family smiling, laughing, celebrating, in the house I owned, the one I paid for, without me or my kids even being invited. When my brother Nate's Facebook post popped up, I initially thought it was one of those on this day memories. A nostalgic throwback. But then I saw the timestamp, 7 minutes ago. Live. Right now. My stomach dropped. The caption was like a punch to the gut, family Thanksgiving. No drama. No disappointments this year. So thankful for the real ones. And there it was, a big, happy group shot around my dining table. My parents. Nate with his arm wrapped around his wife. His 2 stepkids. My aunt, who only shows up for free food. Even that neighbor who constantly borrows my tools and forgets to return them. Every single face tagged. Every chair around that table, full. I zoomed in, almost unconsciously. The wallpaper. The old light fixture. The chipped cabinets. All the things I'd been meaning to replace in my house. Legally, technically, that house is mine. The mortgage payments, the insurance, the property taxes, they all auto-draft straight from my account every month. On the 15th. I glanced at my own dining table, stark and empty. It was just me, Ben, and Lily. We were eating cold lo mein out of cartons. Their mom lives in another state, so Thanksgiving was supposed to be our year. Dad's year. Instead of a golden turkey, we had greasy noodles. Instead of family, I had a Facebook post. Ben, who's 11 and all elbows and sarcasm, leaned in, squinting at my phone. "Hey," he said, "that's Grandma's house." My throat tightened, a knot of something I couldn't name. "No, buddy," I managed, my voice a little rougher than I intended. "That's my house." Lily, quiet and careful, sat cross-legged on the couch, her sketchbook forgotten in her lap. Her 8-year-old eyes went straight to the photo. She scanned the faces twice. "Where are we?" she asked. That's when my hands started to shake, gripping the phone like a lifeline. We hadn't been forgotten. Oh no, not forgotten. A week earlier, my mom had sent me a text. "Keeping it small this year, just immediate household and Nate's family. Too much drama last year. You do something low-key with the kids." Smiling face with smiling eyes, and now, keeping it small somehow included a freeloading neighbor and an aunt I hadn't seen in years. No drama. No disappointments. No us. I didn't call. I didn't text. I just hit like. Then, very slowly, deliberately, I tapped comment. I typed with both thumbs, each word a hammer blow. Beautiful. By the way, the house you're in, I own it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving there. Selling it December 2nd. I read it twice. It looked insane. And yet, perfectly reasonable. My thumb hovered, a millisecond of doubt. Then, I hit post. Within 30 seconds, I saw seen by Nate. Seen by Mom. 4 minutes later, the entire post vanished. 20 minutes after that, my phone started screaming like a fire alarm. By the time I finally turned the ringer off, I'd counted 97 missed calls. My name is Henry. I'm 42, and I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm a dentist. Nothing fancy, just a roadside office wedged between a nail salon and a UPS store. Honestly, half my job is fillings, and the other half is trying to convince people that flossing isn't some elaborate scam. I've been divorced for 3 years, and I've got my 2 kids. Ben, like I said, is all sarcasm and lanky limbs. Lily is the quiet one, meticulous, the kind of kid who carefully folds a candy wrapper before throwing it away. And apparently, I was also the family ATM. It always starts small, doesn't it? My parents never had much. My dad worked at a factory until it closed down. My mom juggled a string of part-time jobs. They weren't lazy, they were just perpetually one bill behind, always chasing their tails. When I got into dental school, they beamed with pride, telling everyone at church their son was going to be Dr. Parker. What they conveniently forgot to mention was the mountain of student debt I'd be dragging behind me well into middle age. The calls started right after my residency. The first time, they were 3 months behind on their mortgage. My mom sobbed on the phone. I wired them $4,000. Dad promised he'd pay me back when things picked up. Things never really picked up. Over the next decade, I co-signed on their new house when their credit tanked. I paid for a full HVAC replacement, $7,200. I cleared $3,500 of Nate's emergency credit card debt. I even added my parents to my cell phone plan because, the landline is so expensive, honey. Eventually, I just started sending them $300 a month for prescriptions. Then, their second house started falling apart. So, I did what any good, financially stable son would do. I bought a nicer place in a better neighborhood as an investment. That's the house. The one in the Facebook photo. The mortgage? $1,900 a month. My parents? They'd pay me $750 when they could. Some months, they'd skip it, saying it's tight right now, we'll catch up next month. They almost never caught up. And my brother Nate? He temporarily moved in with them after his latest business venture crashed. 2 years later, he was still there. His name wasn't on any lease. His income was creative. Facebook Marketplace, Uber, whatever. On paper, they looked like my tenants. In reality, I was their safety net. The weirdest part? I could have lived with all of that. What I couldn't live with was how they treated my kids. When Ben was born, my mom posted a photo, our first grandson. Sweet. Excited, with a string of heart emojis. When Lily arrived, the caption was, another one, LOL. No name, no hearts. Just another one. I tried to laugh it off, but the patterns were undeniable. At Christmas, Nate's stepkids got brand new iPads from Nana and Grandpa. My kids? A board game from the clearance bin and a pack of socks. In the family group chat, there were daily updates about the stepkids' soccer goals, school plays, lost teeth. My kids were an afterthought, but tell them we said hi. The absolute worst was last Christmas. We were at my house, the house I owned, because my mom insisted, Christmas is at Grandma's. That's how it's always been. Lily, bless her heart, had spent 3 days meticulously drawing a picture of the house, all lit up with Christmas lights, all of us holding hands in front. She even got the shutters right. She'd even included Nate's stepkids. She handed it to my mom when we walked in, her cheeks flushed pink from the cold. My mom barely glanced at it. Oh, that's nice, honey, she mumbled, already turning back to the stove. She left the drawing on the counter, right next to a wet ring from a glass. 10 minutes later, Nate's oldest stepchild gave my mom a scented candle from Target. My mom gushed over it like it was a diamond necklace. Lily's heartfelt drawing ended up buried under a pile of junk mail. That night, my kids slept on an air mattress in the den, while Nate's stepkids got the guest room because they're here full-time. Full-time, in the house I own. And still, I said nothing. I kept telling myself, they're old. They don't realize what they're doing. It's not on purpose. Then came that keeping it small text for Thanksgiving. Then, the Facebook post. No drama. No disappointments. No us. Something inside me just snapped. After I posted my comment, I put my phone face down on the coffee table. Who wants more noodles? I asked, my voice light. Ben gave me a look. Dad, he ventured, are we in trouble with Grandma? I shook my head. No, I said, if anyone's in trouble, it's the people eating food in my kitchen. He actually snorted, surprised. Lily leaned against my arm. Are we going there? She asked softly. No, I said. We're staying home. That decision felt bigger than it sounded. Once the kids were in their rooms, I picked up my phone. A text from my mom flashed first. Henry, what on earth is this comment? You don't put family business on Facebook. Call me. Then Nate, dude, delete that. You're making us look bad. It was just a joke. And then, a voicemail from my mother. Her voice, shaking with manufactured outrage. Henry, this is your mother. That house is our home. I don't know what possessed you to threaten us online, but this is not funny. You cannot just sell the house because your feelings are hurt. Call me back right now and we will talk this out. I am so disappointed in you. Disappointed. In me? I set the phone down before I said something I couldn't unsay. Then, I walked to my laptop. I didn't make a pros and cons list. I didn't wonder what a good son would do. I just opened my email and typed Cheryl Realtor into the search bar. I found her number and hit call. She picked up, cheerful. Hey, Dr. Parker, happy Thanksgiving. Hey, Cheryl, I said, I'm sorry to bug you on a holiday, but I need to sell a house. She laughed, then heard my tone. Okay, which one? The Oak Ridge property, I told her. A pause. The one your parents live in? That's the one, I said. I want it listed December 2nd, if possible. That's in a week, she exclaimed. We can start the paperwork, sure. You'll need to give your tenants notice. I will, I replied. Just get the ball rolling. Use the old listing photos for now. Whatever you need. We talked numbers. The market was decent. I'd walk away with a good chunk after paying off the mortgage. When I hung up, my call log showed 30 missed calls. Next, I logged into my bank account. I canceled the automatic transfer that covered my parents' phone bill. I canceled the $300 monthly help with prescriptions deposit. Then, I opened the savings account I'd labeled Family Emergencies, with $15,000 sitting in it. In my head, that money had always been for them, roof repairs, medical bills, whatever. I transferred every single cent into a new account. Labeled, Ben and Lily. There. One clean financial line in the sand. I closed the laptop and finally exhaled. It didn't feel good. It felt solid. They didn't wait long. At 9 a.m. the next morning, someone started pounding on my door like the house was on fire. I opened it a crack. My parents stood there, coats unzipped, fury etched on their faces. Nate was behind them, arms crossed, simmering. Henry, my mother shrieked, pushing past me. What is this nonsense about selling the house? I stepped outside, pulling the door mostly closed behind me so the kids wouldn't hear every single word. It's not nonsense, I said, keeping my voice level, calm. I called the realtor. The house goes on the market December 2nd. You'll get formal notice. My dad's face went crimson. You can't do that, he roared. I can, I replied, my name is on the deed. Mom's voice climbed half an octave. We are your parents. That is our home. We have lived there for 5 years. You bought it for us. I bought it as a rental property, I stated, unwavering. I let you live there at a discount. I've been covering the difference, the taxes, and your bills on top of that. And yesterday, I watched you host a Thanksgiving for the real ones in my house while my kids ate Chinese takeout with me in a rental. Nate rolled his eyes, dismissive. This is about Facebook? You're nuking everything over a caption? It's not just a caption, Nate, I snapped. It's how you actually feel. You just finally wrote it down. Mom waved a dismissive hand. Oh, for heaven's sake. It was a joke. A silly joke. A joke is turkey coma or so much pie, send help, I retorted. Calling a holiday no disappointments when your son and his kids weren't invited? That's not a joke. That's a message. My dad jabbed a finger at me. We're your blood. You don't throw your blood out on the street because you're sulking. You're not on the street, I said. You'll have 60 days. I'm not raising your rent. I'm not charging you for January. I am simply ending a financial arrangement that has never been acknowledged or appreciated. My mom's eyes filled with tears, turning them on like a faucet. We did everything for you. We sacrificed so much so you could be a dentist. I appreciate that, I said, the words heavy with 10 years of frustration. That's why I spent a decade making sure you never missed a payment. But you don't get to erase my kids and still expect my money. Nate finally jumped in. What did we do to your kids, Henry? Seriously, no one yelled at them. No one hit them. We just had dinner. You weren't even here. That's the point. I countered, my voice rising for the first time. You had family Thanksgiving in my house. You invited neighbors and an aunt who complains about everything, but not us. And then you labeled it no drama, no disappointments. My son saw that, Nate. My daughter saw that. Mom shook her head, ever the martyr. Children are resilient. You're making a big deal out of nothing. My daughter spent last night asking why Grandma didn't want her there, I said, my voice softening, filled with a raw pain that cut through their anger. That's not nothing. My dad snorted. Kids bounce back. That's what they do. We're talking about a roof over our heads. And I'm talking about a roof over their hearts, I shot back. I'm not going to keep paying for a stage where they get treated like extras. Nate, sensing a shift, tried a new tactic. Okay. How about this? We start paying full rent. Market rate. I'll get a roommate. Whatever. Mom and Dad will give you more, too. You keep the house. We stay. And you stop acting like Mom's Facebook post killed your kids. He looked so smug, so proud of himself, as if he'd just discovered the magic compromise. A year ago, that would have worked. Now, it just sounded like what it was, a bribe to stay in control. It's not about the money anymore, I stated. I'm selling the house. You will need to find somewhere else to live. I'm not your backup bank. I'm not your landlord. I'm just your son, and you don't seem very interested in that version of me. There was a long, stunned silence. My mom's voice was a whisper, filled with a chilling prophecy. You're going to regret this when we're gone. Maybe, I said, swallowing hard. But I already regret sitting at my own table, explaining to my kids why they weren't good enough for yours. I stepped backward toward the door. You'll get the notice in writing, I said. I won't argue about this anymore. And I shut the door. I stood there, my hand still on the knob, listening to their muffled voices through the wood. My mother was crying, my dad was swearing, Nate was saying, we'll see about this. He can't just. Ben's bedroom door creaked open. He peeked out, small and vulnerable. Is Grandma mad? Yeah, I said, taking a deep breath. She's really mad. He hesitated. Are you in trouble? I thought about it for a moment, letting the question hang in the air. No, I finally said. Not this time. That night, I typed up the letter. Mom and Dad, as you know, I am the legal owner of the Oak Ridge property. I have decided to sell the house. It will be listed on December 2nd. This letter is 60 days' notice to vacate the property. I will not charge you January's rent. Effective immediately, I will no longer be covering your phone bill or other recurring expenses. I love you both, but I won't continue to fund a family my kids are not part of. Henry. I printed it, slipped it into an envelope, drove over to their house, and slid it through their mail slot. No discussion. No argument. Just cold, hard facts. My mom texted an hour later. I cannot believe you put that in writing. You are making us homeless over your ego. I am ashamed to call you my son. I stared at it for a long time, then put my phone down. A little later, my cousin Dana called. Okay, she said, without preamble. What happened? You saw the post? I asked. Yep, she said. Saw it. Saw your comment. Went to show my husband and it was gone. Aunt Carol's group chat is on fire. I rubbed my eyes. Yeah, they threw a no disappointments Thanksgiving in my house and didn't invite me or the kids. So, I decided they can find a new house for next year. Dana was quiet for a second. I'm supposed to talk you down right now, she finally said. But I can't. It's been messed up for a long time. I blinked. You noticed? Henry, she said, we all noticed. The way your mom talks about Nate's stepkids like they're royalty and sometimes forgets your kids' birthdays. It's gross. We just figured you were okay with it since you kept paying for everything. I wasn't okay, I admitted. I was just hoping they'd grow out of it. Well, they didn't, she stated. I'm proud of you. Even if everyone else is calling you the Grinch in the family chat. I snorted. That tracks. Hey, she added, if your parents end up needing help finding a place, they can call me. But don't you dare feel guilty for not being their landlord anymore. You've done your time. After we hung up, I went to check on the kids. Lily was drawing at the kitchen table. This time, she'd drawn our tiny rental living room. The couch, the TV, the three of us. No grandparents. No cousins. Just us. What's your drawing? I asked. Home, she said. That word hit harder than anything my mother had said. The next few weeks were a masterclass in how quickly people can rewrite a story. My parents told anyone who would listen that I'd kick them out before Christmas for one little mistake. Nate texted me screen recordings of apartments he could never afford, with a passive-aggressive message, "This is what you're doing to your parents." I answered exactly once. You are adults. You can all work. You can all apply for apartments. I will not discuss the sale of the house again. He replied, wow, stone cold, and a few more things I didn't even bother to open. The house hit the market on December 2nd. By December 8th, we had 2 offers. I accepted one from a young couple, expecting twins. They walked through the house with big, hopeful eyes, talking about where the crib would go, how they'd host their first Thanksgiving with no drama. I bit my tongue on that part. My parents were surprisingly polite to them during showings. My mom later told someone I forced strangers into her home on short notice. Meanwhile, at my place, I was planning our Christmas. It felt weird. Freeing. And, terrifyingly, it felt right. I asked the kids what they wanted to do. No one mentioned grandmas. Can we just stay here? Ben asked, and maybe have Malik over? Malik is my assistant, practically family. Can we make cinnamon rolls instead of turkey? Lily added. Done, I said. On Christmas Eve, I bought a cheap photo album, the kind with plastic sleeves. I printed out a few pictures of just the 3 of us, making pancakes, at the park, on the couch last year with a lopsided little tree. On the first page, in my neat dentist's handwriting, I wrote, Parker family, the ones who show up. Christmas morning, we opened presents in our pajamas. Ben got the used guitar he'd been eyeing at the pawn shop. Lily got a real art set, with paints and brushes. Everything had their names on it. No shared gifts. No you can play with your cousins, just theirs. Halfway through the morning, my phone buzzed. Dana again. She'd sent a photo from my parents' new apartment. They'd found a small place across town. Beige walls, a tiny tree on a side table. My parents, Nate, his wife, the stepkids. No neighbors. No aunts. The caption, my mom had written, First Christmas in the new place. Weird year, but grateful. Noticeably absent? Real ones. Or no disappointments. Dana's text underneath, there's a giant elephant in this room wearing your face. Just so you know. I stared at the photo for a second, then slid my phone face down on the table. Everything okay? Ben asked. Yeah, I said, a small smile touching my lips. Just different this year. He looked around at the piles of wrapping paper and the glorious mess on the floor. "I like different," he said. So did I. The house sale closed in January. I went to the title company, signed my name a dozen times, and handed over keys with a polite smile. The buyers were ecstatic, chattering about paint colors and baby gates. Afterwards, I sat in my car in the parking lot for a minute. That address had been home base for my family for 5 years. Now, it was just an address I no longer had to pay for. My dad called that night, from a new number. "You really did it," he said, his voice laced with disbelief. "I told you I would," I replied. "You sold our home." "I sold my property," I corrected him. "You have your own place now." He snorted. "Some son you turned out to be." "I'm still your son," I said, the words steady and clear. "I'm just not your landlord or your bailout fund anymore." He was quiet for a second. "You'll need us someday," he finally said. "Family always does." "I needed you a lot, actually," I told him. "When I got divorced. When I was juggling the practice and the kids. When they were being left out of holidays. You weren't there." So, I adjusted my expectations. He didn't like that answer. He hung up. I didn't call back. The real closure didn't come with a big speech or a dramatic cutoff. It came almost a year later, at our next Thanksgiving. By then, the yelling had died down. My parents still sent the occasional text, random articles, church announcements, but never anything that looked remotely like an apology. I answered rarely, politely. I'd made one rule for myself: if someone treats my kids like they don't matter, they don't get my money, my holidays, or my time. This year, when November rolled around, there were no invites from my parents. No group text. Just silence. So, I filled it. I bought a turkey, because Ben wanted the real thing this time. We watched videos on how not to burn the house down frying it. Lily planned desserts like it was a school project. I invited Malik and his boyfriend. Dana asked if she could drop by for pie after a quick round at her parents' house. "Of course," I said. Thanksgiving afternoon. My little rental was loud. And messy. Kids' laughter. Adult conversation. Actual warmth that didn't feel forced. As we were setting the table, I pulled 2 extra chairs from the garage and added them at the end. Ben frowned. "Who are those for?" "Anyone who chooses to treat us right," I said. "Could be